Let's talk about something that quietly shapes almost every adult life, but most people only think about it after they've already made a costly decision. Should you buy a house or rent in 2026? Because here's the uncomfortable truth. The numbers in 2026 don't behave the way most people expect anymore. And when we ran the actual comparisons, some of the results honestly don't make emotional sense at first. So stick with me, because by the end of this, you might completely rethink what smart money actually means. First, let's reset the mindset. Most people grow up hearing this one idea: renting is throwing money away. It sounds convincing until you look closer. Because renting is not just paying for nothing. You're paying for flexibility, lower risk, no maintenance shocks, and freedom to move when life changes. But buying? Buying is not just owning a home. It's locking yourself into long-term debt, maintenance costs, property taxes, insurance, and market timing risk. So the real question isn't emotional, it's mathematical. And in 2026, the math is getting more interesting. Let's imagine two people. Person A rents a two-bedroom apartment in a mid-range city. Person B buys a similar property using a mortgage. At first glance, it feels like person B is building wealth. But here's where things start to shift. In 2026, interest rates in many places are still relatively high compared to the past decade. That means monthly mortgage payments are no longer slightly higher than rent. They are often significantly higher. And not just that. When you buy, your first years of payments are mostly interest, not ownership. So in the early phase, you are not really building equity fast. You are mainly servicing debt. That's the part people don't feel until they calculate it. Now here's where it gets even more interesting. Let's talk about hidden costs. Buying a home comes with repairs you didn't plan for, maintenance every year, property taxes, insurance, furnishing and setup costs, and sometimes renovation pressure just to keep value. Renting, you usually just pay rent and move on with your life. No roof replacement, no burst pipe emergency fund panic, no why is my wall cracking again stress. So when we calculate total cost in 2026, renting often starts looking surprisingly efficient in the short to medium term. But don't jump to conclusions yet, because buying has one powerful advantage that renting doesn't fully give you: appreciation. Over time, property can increase in value. And this is where most buy versus rent discussions become misleading. People assume prices always go up smoothly, but in reality, property markets move in cycles: growth phases, flat phases, corrections, regional differences. In some cities, prices rise fast. In others, they barely move for years. So buying only becomes a strong financial win if three things align. 1, you stay long enough. 2, you buy at the right price. 3, the market grows steadily. Miss one of those, and the advantage weakens. Now here's the part that shocks most people when they see it clearly. In many 2026 scenarios, renting plus investing the difference can outperform buying. Let me explain simply. If renting costs less per month than owning, the difference can be invested into index funds, business savings vehicles, or even inflation-protected assets. Over time, that money compounds. And compounding has one brutal characteristic: it rewards consistency more than ownership. So the real battle is not rent versus buy. It becomes, do I want money locked into property or money growing elsewhere? But now let's bring in something emotional, because life is not just spreadsheets. Buying a home gives stability, identity, pride, control over your space. For many people, that matters deeply. Renting gives mobility, lower stress, financial breathing room, ability to pivot life decisions faster. Neither is better. They are trade-offs. But the mistake most people make is choosing based on pressure, not strategy. Family pressure, social expectations. Everybody is buying. Fear of missing out. That's how people end up house rich but cash poor. So what's the real answer in 2026? Here's the honest breakdown. Buying makes sense if you plan to stay long-term, 7 to 10 plus years. Your income is stable. You can handle unexpected costs. The mortgage is comfortably affordable. Renting makes sense if you value flexibility. You want lower financial pressure. You are still building wealth or career stability. You can invest the difference consistently. And here's the key insight most people miss. The smartest decision is not buy versus rent. It is Which option gives me more financial control over the next 5 to 10 years? Because at the end of the day, a house is not just a financial asset. It's a lifestyle decision wrapped inside a financial decision. And in 2026, with rising costs, shifting economies, and unpredictable markets, flexibility is quietly becoming a form of wealth on its own. So before you make that big decision, don't just ask, can I afford a house? Ask something deeper. If I lock this money into property, what am I giving up in opportunity, freedom, and growth? Because once you see it that way, the answer becomes a lot less emotional and a lot more strategic. And that's exactly what separates people who feel stuck financially from people who stay adaptable no matter how the economy shifts.